Join us as we celebrate 3 decades of Commodity Classic, agriculture's largest farmer-led event, February 25th through 27th. Experience game-changing solutions, connect with thousands of forward-thinking farmers, and explore innovations from over 400 companies, all focused on powering your farm forward with efficiency and profitability. Housing and registration opens November 6th. Don't miss 30 years of agricultural excellence in the heart of Texas.
Welcome to Meet the Lawmaker, where we bring you into the halls of Congress for one-on-one conversations with lawmakers shaping the future of farm policy. We're joined today by Representative Dave Taylor, a small business owner and freshman member of Congress from Ohio, with a seat on the House Ag and Transportation and Infrastructure Committees. In addition to discussing his ag priorities like rural broadband and preventing solar panel use on prime farmland, Taylor tells us about his experience playing in the Congressional Baseball Game and how he ended up with the same congressional office a U.S. president once used. To begin our conversation, we asked Congressman Taylor to tell us about Ohio's 2nd District and the agriculture there.
The 2nd District of Ohio is basically all of southern Ohio except for Hamilton County, where Cincinnati is. So it goes all the way over to West Virginia, runs along the Ohio River, pretty much the length of the district, and then north to just below Columbus. So it's geographically, it's the biggest district in Ohio. Lots of family farms, I think pretty close to 11,000 family farms in the district. A lot of soybeans, a lot of corn, fair amount of cattle, some larger pig productions, but yeah, it's a heavily agricultural district.
And from my understanding, you have a law degree and you're a 3rd-generation small business owner. What made you decide to run for Congress to begin with?
That's a good question, because it was really nothing I had ever had on my radar. But it sort of, several things came together at one time that made me think about doing it. Number one, Congressman Winstrup decided to retire. He'd been a great representative of the area for 12 years, and they had changed the district in 2022, and this is probably the biggest piece of it. They took all of Hamilton County, which has Cincinnati in it, out and made it, added several Appalachian counties to the district. So it's basically an all Appalachian district now. So my family's Appalachian on both sides. My mom's side of the family came from West Virginia. My grandfather was a coal miner there. On my dad's side, my grandfather was a tobacco farmer in Kentucky. They met in Ohio. So I say that to say I'm familiar with how the situation that folks in Appalachia are the troubles they're facing, the way they get left out of things and have for a long time. And I was at a point in my life where I had an opportunity to try to help out with that, a chance to give back for the blessings my family's received from hard work, but lots of people in the 2nd District work hard and don't receive the same blessings we have. So the timing was just right for me to try it if I ever was going to. So that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, and you have a great background. Can you tell me a little bit more about your time in law school and your time owning the business, how that's prepared you for this role?
Sure. Yeah, I went to Miami of Ohio for undergrad and then went to the University of Dayton for law school, and I started working at the Claremont County Prosecutor's Office while I was still in law school. Worked there for several years after, and it's really the only law job I ever wanted. That's sort of the job I went to law school to have, so I was very lucky to end up with that position. And I stayed involved with the prosecutor's office all throughout until right before I came here to one degree or another. But in 1999, my dad was starting to talk about maybe retiring from running the family concrete business, which my grandfather had started in 1974. So I went out there and we worked together for a few years, and he retired, and I stayed there and run that business until just before getting elected here. So there's a lot of lessons obviously in both of those roles that help here: a knowledge of the law, the ability to read a law and know what it really says, what might be hiding behind the text. You really have to dig down on those things, and that's one thing law school and actually practicing law prepares you for. And then running a small business of any kind, you have to work on a budget. You have to work on a schedule. You understand that you have to sign somebody's paycheck when Tuesday comes along every week, and the money has to be there for it. So, it's a lot of pressure, but you learned it to deliver, I guess, is the bottom line, so to speak. And those two experiences combined to they give you a pretty good background. And we're lucky in this class, we don't have a lot of people with pure political backgrounds, especially on the Republican side. People with business backgrounds, military backgrounds, and some with political backgrounds. You need some of all those things. So it's good to have a wide variety of folks here.
And from my understanding, during law school, you actually met your wife as well.
I did. Charity and I met there. That was very lucky for me because she's a Virginian. The odds of me bumping into her in Ohio were very slim, so I'm glad she chose to go to UD. And we've been together we've been married 28 years. We have 3 beautiful daughters, Abby, Maggie, and Emily, and they're all in their 20s now and doing great things. And yeah, that was a very fortuitous meeting. And she, the blessing for her here is her family's very close to here, so she's been in Ohio longer than she was in Virginia now. So now that she's back close to her family again, it's pretty good. She gets to go visit them. Actually, she's down there visiting her dad today. So
wonderful. I see your girls behind you on your desk right here.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your girls.
Oh, they're great. Like Abby is 28. She's doing in the nursing field. She was nannying and working in Asheville, North Carolina, and working at a school down there. Unfortunately, they were affected by the hurricane, and she's been back at our house, which actually works out pretty good right now because we're not there all the time and somebody is. She's sort of deciding her next step right now. My daughter Maggie recently got a job at the Thoroughbred Museum down by Churchill Downs in Louisville. She loves that. She's doing great, and when she's not at work, she's at a concert somewhere. I think she was just at a concert in Las Vegas a couple days ago, but she loves her music. Emily is in school at Samford in Birmingham, Alabama, but she's actually here right now doing an internship, which she's loving, and I think she might have the Washington, D.C. bug, so we might be seeing more of her before it's over. But they're great. They're doing their own thing. They're chip off the old block being their mom. She did a great job with them, and they're all doing real well.
Oh, wonderful. Well, in your background, wonderful background, small business and everything, but I didn't hear any connection to agriculture, so I'm wondering, when you came to Washington, when you were elected, why was it important for you to be a member of the Ag Committee?
Well, my grandfather was a tobacco farmer, and I spent a little time on that, not a whole lot on his farm when we were kids, but the district's heavily agricultural, so that's one of the main reasons I wanted to be on the Ag Committee. The other one is it's a real broadband desert, and the Agriculture Committee has some control over the rural connectivity issue, and we've sponsored 3 bills to try to make broadband more accessible for folks in the 2nd District, because it's really it's a basic thing now. It's more of an infrastructure thing. At one time it was a luxury kind of, but now everybody uses it. No one would deny that. But large swaths of the 2nd District can't. They can't work from home. They can't learn to do a job from home. They can't do telehealth. It's hard to attract businesses to places that don't have basic services like that. So I think if you could get that in place, a lot of the other problems they face, and there are plenty of them, would start getting solved a lot faster.
And during your first term of Congress, you're already co-chair of the Rural Broadband Caucus. So you talked a little about the importance of that to your constituents, but can you kind of elaborate on the need to expand and the work that you're hoping to do with that?
Yeah, the money's been allocated for quite some time. It's called the BEAD program, $42 billion. It's been sitting there for over 4 years. They haven't they haven't spent a dollar or connected a house. Part of the problem for the 2nd District is that money is all sort of is being pushed towards strictly fiber optic. And fiber optic is great. It's the best system we have right now, honestly. But most of the 2nd District's not really amenable to having fiber optic. It's rough terrain, trees, houses that are very far apart. So part of the 3 bills we've sponsored is to try to get those dollars made available for either fixed wireless or low Earth orbit satellites like Starlink, and there's a couple other coming online pretty soon. So these folks can be connected to the modern economy, today, not years down the road when fiber optic finally gets to them. So that's what we've been focusing on, because they're really not born with a fair chance to succeed in the 2nd District right now, and that's why a lot of our young folks are leaving. We lose people, and Columbus is attracting people, and 2nd District is losing people, and net overall Ohio is losing people largely because this biggest district in Ohio doesn't have basic services. There's Benton County has 12,000 people in it. There's one doctor, there's not a medical facility of any kind, and a large portion of them have to haul water to their house to drink and bathe. It's hard to imagine something like that in the United States anywhere, much less in the shadow of Columbus, Ohio. So those things need to get fixed, and they need to get fixed in a hurry. It's been like that for years. But these are people that I call them the make-do people. They make do with what they got and do the best with it. They're not the squeaky wheel, but they deserve to have a fair chance. And right now, they're not anywhere near getting a fair chance.
And broadband is one component of that. But what else do you see as part of your vision to kind of revitalize rural America and revitalize specifically those rural parts of your district?
Yeah, important for that district is the fact that we've gone 2 years without an updated farm bill, and I know it's gotten a little bit split up this year because a lot of the farm bill's actually in the big beautiful bill, which is great. It's going to help a lot. It's going to make it easier for farms to be passed down from family to family. We're losing farms, and we sponsored a bill to this effect. We're losing farms in my district like crazy to solar panels, which makes no sense to me. I'm not against solar as long as the solar panels aren't made from toxic materials, not made in China, and the energy benefits the place where they're going to be put. I'm all for it. But there's no reason to put it on prime farmland. There's plenty of unusable land out there you can put solar panels on if you want. So we've sponsored a bill to at least not subsidize these solar panel businesses, which we've been doing. And we had Secretary Rollins in for a hearing, and she's 100% against using any USDA dollars to advance these solar panel productions on our prime farmland. So we're trying to make it easier for these family farms to get passed down, because right now there's so much uncertainty with no farm bill, and with all the regulations that make it so hard, and these reference prices that haven't been adjusted in forever, and a lot of that's in the big beautiful bill. So I'm hoping that it starts helping right away. The death tax has been doubled and made permanent, so people think $15 million. How would that affect anybody being able to pass down a farm? Well, you consider how much the price of property's gone up in Ohio, and it becomes very quickly a problem. So we've done a lot of things on a lot of fronts to make, through the big beautiful bill, to make it easier for farmers to succeed, for the next generation to see their parents succeed, so that they want to take over the family business when it's their turn. But we still have to get the rest of it done, and Chairman Thompson is dedicated to getting what he doesn't like the nickname skinny farm bill, so we call it Farm Bill 2.0. We want to get the rest of the pieces that didn't get in the big beautiful bill across the line too this year.
And I'm curious if we can circle back, to some of your legislation, prohibiting solar panels on farmland. We talk to landowners and those in the countryside. They say, when they get these proposals, it's sometimes they get a good amount for rent, or not always purchase of their land, but renting their land to put these panels on. And sometimes it's that certainty of that payment that they might actually consider it. So have you heard, farm country being receptive to your bill and your proposal?
Yeah, it's anywhere you go in my district, the solar panel issue is a scourge. Everybody wants rid of it. Now, I'm not against people being able to do what they want to do with their personal property, and that's a real challenge in this arena. But at the very least, we shouldn't be trying to subsidize it and make it easier for this to be happening. And the regulation of the solar panels really needs to start at the most local level, and they're working on that. But the people don't want them, but it's very tricky to try to interfere with people's private property rights. The early language of the Constitution wasn't life, liberty, and happiness. It was life, liberty, and property. So people take their property rights very seriously. On the other hand, the government has a legitimate interest in having our farms produce food, because food security is national security.
And you also mentioned the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that got across the finish line before the July 4th deadline. And I'm wondering, in there, lots of components of the Farm Bill, not everything, but quite a few of them. What do you see in there as the most beneficial things for your district's producers?
Well, most of the ones we talked about already are the death tax, making it transferable, the improvements in the loan programs that because the input costs, the starting out costs are very difficult. They've continued to go up. Now, at least fuel prices and things like that are coming down under the Trump administration. But Yeah, those are the big pieces that are going to help farmers. The reference prices have been adjusted. They may be even looked at some more when we do the 2.0 farm bill, but all the main concern, there's $60 billion of investment for trade and for, because the Ohio River is right there along the whole district, and it's a very underused way of getting our farm goods to international markets. So there's in the markup from the Agriculture Committee, we found $60 billion in savings that weren't just used as savings; they're reinvested into these traditionally farm bill areas that were ignored under the previous administration.
And outside of the Agriculture Committee, you actually serve in the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Can you tell us a little bit about that committee and your priorities there?
There's we're talking about using the Ohio River specifically. I'm the vice chair of the water subcommittee on T&I, so addressing there's 6 locks and dams along the Ohio River in our district that all could use attention. We could use more loading and offloading capacity along the Ohio River so that we can make better use let our farmers make better use of that great resource. There's a interstate highway project. There's no interstate highway right now in the 2nd district. So, and obviously for people that know the area, I-71 and I-75 are like major cargo routes north-south through that part of the country, but for a long stretch they share the same road. So it's a real bottleneck through Cincinnati, Ohio, where all this cargo has to go, and people and everything else that goes down the road. So there's what's called the I-73 project, which we're pushing for. We'll go basically right through the center of our district, which would make it a lot easier on our farmers to get things on, as far as trucking them to the river, trucking them to markets north through Columbus and beyond. So hopefully that project comes through. The general bread and butter T&I surface reauthorization issues like roads and bridges generally in the district. We have, way outdated bridges that can't carry modern loads. They're not safe to cross with heavy trucks, sometimes not even with a large ambulance shouldn't even be crossing some of these little bridges. So getting those things addressed, and Secretary Duffy is excited about all those things. They're taking on big, bold challenges, which you'd expect from this administration, and hopefully we get the surface reauthorization done this year so that we can get started on those projects.
You fit a lot into your first, 6-7 months in office. I'm curious, what have been some of the most interesting things that you've been able to do or see back in your district at home?
Oh, yeah, our district is full of, right now we're in the middle of county fair season, and county fairs in southern Ohio are great. Excuse me, some of the best in the state. I live in Claremont County. Well, I just went to their fair on Sunday, and I've been to 6 of them already. But the county where my business was before this is Brown County, and they call it the Little State Fair. It's they don't have it until after school started, but all the schools close for that week. I mean, the fair is religion in a lot of these counties, and that's one of the top ones. So that's fun. There's the pumpkin show in Pickaway County is one of those places where you get the 1,600-pound pumpkins, and they put them on the big scale and see who's got the biggest one. And there's an apple festival in Jackson, and they have those kind of things all over the district. It's a real community, what you'd expect from a tight-knit farming community everywhere you go across the district. So it's one thing after another. It's hard to get to all of them, but you don't want to miss any of them.
Earlier this year, back in Washington, actually, I spotted you on the field at the Congressional Baseball Game. Can you tell us a bit about that experience and how you got selected? I mean, you had to have been a draft pick.
Oh no, I was definitely no draft pick, but it was fun. I was never any tremendous baseball player, but we had 6 a.m. or usually 5:45 a.m. practices like 3 days a week. Coach took it very seriously when he expected you to be there, and I did my best. I'm a new guy, so I met a lot of other members, and it was great. It was a good, actually very competitive game until the end, and everything was fun. If you saw me on the field, it was because I was walking towards the dugout, because I never actually got to play, but it was fun.
And as we wrap up here, we're in your office. I hear that a former president actually also was in this office at one point.
Yeah. This is JFK's office. Apparently, I didn't know that, and it was by the way, a funny coincidence. They do a lottery to pick the offices. So were lucky enough to pick a low enough number to get an office in the beautiful Cannon building, which was all just redone. And between picking your spot in the lottery and when you pick your office, I went to get lunch, and in change I got a John F. Kennedy 50-cent piece. And I came back here and picked this office, and I found out later that day that it was JFK's office. I'm like, that's too much of a coincidence. So I still have that 50-cent piece in my wallet, just because it's got to be good luck.
A good luck charm for sure. Well, Representative Taylor, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for being here.